Welcome to Valley Viewpoint. I'm Roger Johnson. My guest is Shawna Wright. She's an artist. She highlights God's promises with her art. Welcome, Shawna, to Valley Viewpoint.
Thank you.
Shawna, talk to us about how you discovered that you are an artist. When I say you're an artist, does that seem does that seem strange? Possibly?
It does. I still feel like I'm a fraud when I say the word. It's just that doesn't fit, but I guess it has to. So.
And so talk to us, me,
Yes.
and why it doesn't fit.
Well, all my life I wanted to draw. I wanted to do art, but I just felt like couldn't. One of the reasons was my sister got good at it quickly, and I gave up quickly. Oh. And then my children both are very good at art, and they would come to me and ask me to draw something when they were little, and it was just hilarious. I mean, I couldn't do anything.
You even laughed at your own art.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes. They would laugh at it.
Okay.
And a
That's not very encouraging, isn't it?
But it was true. It just so I would do little. I like our youngest Rachel. She liked giraffes, and I remember she was 2 years old. Mom, draw me a giraffe. I couldn't do it. There was a stick. That was it. So yeah.
So no wonder you're still going through this initial, you're an artist, I'm an artist, really? I
Yeah.
mean, you know, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So how did this discovery come about? Your kids were laughing at your art, you were laughing at your art,
True.
and your sister's better than you, etc.
True.
So how did the Lord, in His providence, say?
It was Him. Well, in 2015, just before 2015, I had a friend who on Facebook started posting pictures where she had done some artwork and words written in her Bible, and we now call it Bible journaling, but at the time that was very, very new. And it fascinated and it just drew me. I thought, man, this is the way I could really get into my Bible, and it drew me, and I thought, I could do words, I could do writing, I wouldn't have to do the art part, but I could do, and I just wanted it so bad, and this desire went over me so bad that, well, I'll tell you, I got in the shower and I bawled my eyes out because I went to find a Bible and I couldn't find one that I could. There just wasn't an NLT Bible out there like that. I really.
Now I take it when you say NLT, describe what that is.
A New Living Translation.
And that had been a favorite of yours years before that.
Yes,
okay.
Because about 2010 I was given one from my husband. And the Bible just became alive to me. I started underlining Bible promises, and then the Bible promises it was changing me. We went through some very difficult times, and those promises held me through. Well, God, through the promises, held me through, and I began collecting them and filling my Bible full of marked promises. So it was a natural fit for me. So in NLT, I had to have a New Living Translation. That was just no option for me. So I went looking for one, and there had been one several years before, a Note Keepers, I believe it was called, but it wasn't in production anymore. And so I went looking for one, and on eBay, they went up as high as $700. And this gets me back to the shower crying, God, I can't find a Bible. What do you want me to do? I know you put this desire in me. And it was just the strangest thing, because the desire was so overwhelming, powerful, so it came to mind, I want you to go, and I want you to go to the store and get a journal, just a regular journal. And you can do it in a journal. You don't need a Bible. So I got myself into the store, picked one out, and got in my car, and I sat in the parking lot of the church waiting to pick up our youngest from Pathfinders. And as I looked at that, it hit me. This wasn't for me. This was for my Father. And now I'll have to bring in another story.
Sure.
Now, my father had been, just before Christmas of 2005, 2014, so this was 2015 when I found this got this journal. He had fallen on ice and hurt himself badly, and
one of those Canadian winters. So I hear that
yes,
you're from
he was
Canada.
up in northern BC, in up north, and it was very icy. And he had gotten out of his truck to check something, and he had slipped and he fell, and he injured himself really bad. And it became an injury that turned into more than just the initial break, and it took months. And in fact, he's still recovering from that, and that is over 2 years. Well, 2015, 3 years almost, of recovering from that. And at that time, he was in a tremendous amount of pain, and my mother had talked to me that he was slipping into depression, and here I am, nearly 24 hours drive away, and no way to get there, and how to help him. There was no way to help him. So it came to mind that if I did a daily promise and wrote it in a journal for him, that I could scan it and email it to him. So I did this every day.
Every day?
Every single day for a whole year. I didn't miss a day. And then it even went beyond that for a little while, but for a whole year. And it was, sometimes it would be a hymn, sometimes it would just be a Bible promise or an uplifting quote. But so when I was doing that, I guess a little creative part of me came out, and I'm trying to decorate it, but I have on my website some of the original art, and it's hilarious. Because I remember one of the very first ones is I think I had the song Day by Day, and I
That's a
had,
good one. Yeah.
and I did the face of a clock, and Roman numerals, and the hands of the clock. Well, I erased and I erased and I erased just to get a circle.
Yeah.
and to think about that now, you know. So it was difficult. It was very difficult, and my handwriting wasn't anything special or anything, but it was special to Dad, and it got him through. He would look forward to that every morning, and it kept him going, and it kept me going because it felt like I was actually being able to do something. So.
And this.
So then it grew. So that October of 2015, it was his birthday coming up. November the 2nd was his birthday. And I thought, well, I should do a special journal entry in his book, right? This is special. So then by that time I had played a little bit with different mediums. I had tried a little bit of paint that I'd picked up here or there and copied a little bit, but really was nothing, just really nothing. And I had some Crayola watercolor and just a regular journal, and I painted this picture off of a photo for his birthday. And it is now on the cover of, it's my sharing card. I don't like to call it a business card, it's my sharing card. So this is the picture, and it's also a nice example when I'm handing the person this and telling my story. I have it right with me to tell them.
And that is your dad's birthday.
This was my dad's
painting
birthday.
that
It was.
You sent to him, huh?
Yes, it was. It was. And
you honored that occasion, that when you became much more, people were saying, my, oh my,
well,
from this photo, you became involved with calendars.
Yes, but I have another side story. Can I go there?
Yes. This is your show.
The side story is this. In the fall of 2015, I had been praying that God would give me something to do for him, because I just felt like I wasn't doing enough. I wanted more. I wanted something fulfilling, something, God, I know you can give me something. And I really asked him to do that. And it wasn't just one time praying. This was like a daily prayer.
So your intensity
Yes.
toward your dad was now, the Holy Spirit was apparently encouraging you to pray this larger prayer. I mean, even beyond your family.
Yes, I wanted to do, I knew I was helping Dad, but I wanted to do more. And so when I painted this picture, which is now the last, the calendar for that year, when I painted that picture, I knew something special had happened. It blew me away. I mean, like, whoa, that happened. How did that happen? How did this stick man not doing person could do that? And I sent it to my dad, and he immediately wrote back, and he said, "I'm framing that one."
With good reason.
And so I said, well, that was so much fun. Let's do another one. So I did, but with that much, well, there's another story.
Well,
do I have time for that
yes,
story?
We'll take that at the second half. First
Okay.
of all, for those that would like to go to your website, talk to us about what those are. Just share them, and then we'll ask the program to have that also available. But how would people get in touch with you after the program?
Okay, I have a website, and all my art is on there, and so it's free to look at or even share and forward. My website is Shawna Wright Art at Weebly.com.
And spell Weebly if you would.
Weebly. And then I also have a Facebook page for my art, and that is Shawna Wright Art. If you just look that up on Facebook at Shawna Wright Art, you will find that. And so as I paint, I post them right away, so people can follow it and interact with me.
We have just a few moments before the second half.
Yes.
And we want to let the audience have a taste. And as you say, you've been very open and liberal with your website. Apparently, they can look at your gallery of what God has brought you for.
Well, and on Facebook, it really as easy as you can hit share. And then you can share the art on your page, because I find that you could share that exact. One thing we may need to say here is my art all have Bible promises on them. Every piece of art has Bible promises.
That's your trademark.
And
all those promises
yes,
you sent to your dad.
that I collect. Well, and I had collected the years before too, during hard times. So if you took a Bible promise and just posted it on your Facebook page, people aren't really. A lot of people, it would just be lost. Some will, but it would be lost. But when you use art, it somehow is disarming and sucks people in.
Synergistic for your spiritual mission. Together it's bigger than just separately.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with Shawna Wright, who is an artist that wants to share God's promises through her art. I'm talking with Shawna Wright. She's a local artist and has combined her gifts, her recently revealed gifts, that she wants to combine God's promises with her art. And Shawna, you were talking in the first half, the development of how this came about through ministering to your dad.
Yes.
And you have also found some very precious promises that mean a lot to you in this process.
That is
Would you
true.
like to share?
Well, I have there's one promise that has been on the screen of my computer for, I would say about 8 years.
That is
And
a
it is
long time.
also on the back of my card. And it's, He will cover you with His feathers. He will shelter you with His wings. His faithful promises are your armor and your protection. So that verse was very special to me. So when I started with painting birds, and all my art is pretty much themed with birds, it was double precious to me. So that is also it's what I give out, and it's on my website, and it's just part of the art. It just goes hand in hand.
And for the birders out there, were you a birder before, or it's just this? It just seemed to fit with God's creation and His promise.
It seemed to fit, but I also had when I was young, about 6, 7 years old, my parents had bought me my own little tiny Bushnells, and we would go Sabbath afternoon, we would go bird watching, and so I had a pretty good idea what birds were in that area, although I'm finding all sorts of new ones, liferless, just from living here.
You have a precious Bible before
do.
you, and would you introduce that Bible to our family, viewing family?
Sure. Well, like I said,
that's kind of the outgrowth of
yes,
this desire to find
it
one.
It was. I eventually got one because what had happened is it was a very new thing that was happening. A lady had been blogging about what she had been doing in her wide margin Bible. And so then other people got the idea and they wanted to do it as well. And she had started a Facebook page, and I actually joined when there was only 500 people on that page. This morning there was 42,000 people on that page. So it's
amazing
just
growth.
Yeah. So why the Bible went up to $700 was because everybody wanted a Bible, and there just wasn't the availability wasn't there. Now you can get any translation, you can get them to color pictures in, you can get all over. They're just in the last 2 years.
Wide margin,
yes.
And I noticed that there's about 2 inches at least.
Yes.
There. But I'm immediately I'm looking at things that our audience doesn't see right now. So.
Yes.
Oh my. That is your art.
Yeah.
And the paper is able to take.
Well, it's just regular Bible paper, but I have found if I'm careful, I can make it work.
May I read that font, your handwritten scripture, as you show it to the camera? They all depend on you to give them food. You open your hand to feed them. That is so beautifully portrayed, and that promise that God does feed the birds, cares for them. I think that's similar to Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount. Now, you take this Bible to church. Do you take your paints? No, you don't take this Bible?
I don't take this Bible to church.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm still comfortable in my old one that has all my promises marked up into it. But I do.
This is for your daily devotional, and when you are inspired for a passage that's on this particular page,
yes,
the Holy Spirit combined with the God's promises, and you, kind of like the divine and the human, get together, and you put, I'm looking at a hummingbird. You've got to show that to our audience. Look at that. Could you read that for us?
Yeah, and this is another one of those promises that are dear to, I only do ones that are dear to my heart, because if I feel it, someone else is going to feel it. And I'm not sharing it to preach it, I'm just sharing it because it's affected me and touched me. Those who fear the Lord are secure. He will be a refuge for their children. And so these are dear. I mean, who has children wouldn't feel that way?
From a mother,
a mother's heart, yep.
And from a mother whose children laughed at your art to what I'm seeing now and what we're seeing. It's quite a miracle. Yes. And you are sometimes having a hard time, so to speak, comprehending this change in you.
Yes, I say, here I am, God, and what do you want me to do today, and what verse is it that we focus on, you know? And so this in my Bible, I'm not concerned about, like, for art that I sell, because it ended up doing that, because that's another way of sharing it, and so other people have the opportunity to share it as well.
Maybe this would be a good transition to say why you were, quotes, forced to sell.
Okay.
Because there was some overhead, and because they wanted pictures like this.
So what happened is, after I did my father's, this picture from my dad, I then decided, well, that was fun, let's try again. The very next one, no, it flopped really bad. And I go, oh, just nerves, right? Because they wanted to do it again. And I thought, no, I'm going to buckle up and try this again. So I tried again, and it turned out pretty good. And then I did a third and a fourth, and then some friends of mine who are really good watercolor artists, they got seen when I was doing the, oh, Shawna, you got to quit these journals and Crayola paints. This just is not good. So
Crayola is a beginner's type of...
It's kids' school paint.
Yeah, Crayola paint.
Yeah.
I'm used to the Crayola wax.
But they also have paint.
They have paints.
Yeah. So they said, this just isn't good. You just got to quit that. So they...
What an affirmation.
Yes, it was. And so I was given the actual good paper and good paint to start off with, and it was such a gift to me. And so I painted along, and I thought, well, this is so much fun. Why not do a calendar for my mom and dad for Christmas? And I could cover, brothers and sisters and, of the family, and why not just get it, this would be an easy Christmas present. So I worked on that, and there were people or friends who knew I was doing that, and so everybody wanted a calendar. So
how many was that edition finally?
98 calendars.
Obviously, to have a printing expense, this became immediately a family business, so to speak.
Well, so I went searching for somebody who would print it for me, and we found somebody nearby, and they were very good about printing just 2 at a time, which was such a gift to me, because I had no idea how many I was going to do. So, and then out of that came people more interested in the art. So that's when I started a Facebook page and a web page. I ended up the web page because not everybody is on Facebook. So that's how that became. And then it just grew and grew. And well, where's next year's calendar? So we ended up doing a second one. So this was this year.
This is
2017 calendar. So, and then, so we did, help me out here, I just got stuck.
You, in your prayers, have you ever said, Lord, where do you want to take this? Am I supposed to continue this gift?
Yes, because it was fun, and lots of people were going, wow, look at what you've done, and then there's that temptation for pride, and is this taking over to being art and not sharing God's promises? Where is this going? Is this even safe for me? So before, actually, the week that I worked on my website, I struggled before I even posted it, because I struggled for over a week, and I prayed about it. I said, God, if this is going somewhere you don't want, stop it right now. I don't want it to be something that will ruin me or take away from what this specialness with the promises. And so you direct me and guide me. And I can't exactly remember at the time what it was that brought me through, but I know there was a promise that yes, that's what it was. He gave me a promise. And that promise, I believe I have it here for you. And that promise was, our lives are in his hands, and he keeps our feet from stumbling. So that promise I hold really tight, that He will look after me on that and protect me from it, from it being a stumbling. And I revisit that very often. And again, I got a block where I couldn't paint hardly anything. Since the 2016 calendar.
And Shawna,
Yes.
may I, because of our time, we have just not long, we have less than a minute. The Lord, from what I understand, gave you a big affirmation.
He did.
Could you just, in a few last seconds, share this big affirmation after struggling about whether you should go on?
Yes, and I struggled again this year because I had a block and didn't know what to paint for this year's calendar. And a beautiful picture came about, and that very same week, I was gifted from somebody I have still yet to meet, close to $1,500 worth of art supplies, professional art supplies that upgraded everything that I was using. And it was, okay, God, I guess that's the answer. I got to keep going. and it was a hug from Him, both an inspiration for the whole new calendar and the supplies to do it.
Well, Shawna, this has been such a wonderful experience to hear your story. Just how would they access you on Facebook, these paintings, just in the last few seconds? It's
just Shawna Wright Art. If you just type that in on Facebook, you will find it.
Shawna, it's been a privilege to have you on Valley Viewpoint. Glad you're in the Valley, and I'm glad that you're now around the world through that medium. Appreciate your story so much. And thank you for joining us. I'm Roger Johnson.
To invest in the soul-winning ministry of Blue Mountain Television, send your tax-deductible gift to Blue Mountain Television, 1200 Southeast 12th Street, Suite 2, College Place, Washington, 99324.